Now, this nun lived in an era where there was no television. She did not live to see a television even. But why was she named as the patron saint of television?
Lamp unto my feet.
Friends, today the church celebrates the memorial of St. Clare, a 13th century nun who, of course, founded the congregation of Poor Clare Sisters. And she was also a very close friend of St. Francis of Assisi. Now, following the example of St. Francis, she also embraced a life of poverty, contemplation, and prayer. Now, among the numerous interesting facts that we can read about her, there's something very special which I think would draw our attention. Pope Pius XII names her the patron saint of television. Now, this nun lived in an era where there was no television. She did not live to see a television even. But why was she named as the patron saint of television? Because when she was bedridden, when she was very ill towards the last stages of her life, she prayed to the Lord that she wanted to take part in the Holy Mass, very especially on the Christmas midnight Mass, which of course was impossible for her because she could not get down from bed. So the Lord heard her prayer, and at that very moment when the Mass was celebrated in the chapel, she saw the vision where the wall of her room, of her cell, was illuminated, and where the Lord allowed her to see the Mass and to take part in the Mass alive, and which of course made her to be the patron saint of television. Now, this point reminds us about what happened during the pandemic, the COVID pandemic, where we could not go and take part in the Mass, experience the Mass in the churches. We had to resort to look at the Mass, to watch the Mass through the television. And even after the pandemic, today, even we find Catholics who conveniently say that I take part in the Mass, I listen to the Mass, but just only through the television, but are lazy to go to church and participate in the Mass, actively take part in the Mass. Let us ask God's graces, because the Mass is to be participated, celebrated, and receive the Lord. Amen.